For me, digital transformation is really a process of building technology capabilities to either to maintain or strengthen your business's competitive advantage.
Technology is transforming how we think, how we lead, and how we win. From Intervision, this is Status Go, the show helping IT leaders move beyond the status quo, master their craft, and propel their IT vision.
Hello and welcome to Status Go. I am Victor Tingler, and I have with me today Gabe Cortina from Bunim. Today we're going to be talking about digital transformation and the real-world impacts of developing and delivering on a digital strategy. It's become increasingly critical that companies embrace digital solutions to remain competitive and relative to their clients. To this end, development of an achievable digital strategy has become a hot item for every CIO and CTO. So Gabe, before we jump in, I'd like for you to take a few minutes to kind of talk about yourself and your company and what you guys do and some of your background, if you don't mind.
Well, sure. I've been in technology about 30 years. Most of my experience has been working with medical device and pharmaceutical companies such as Baxter, Medtronic, Avery Dennison, who had a medical division, doing mainly product development on large-scale platforms. But I've been here at Bunim for 3 years, really enjoying the job. We have an excellent leadership team, a very progressive and familial culture. Our company is one of the world's largest reality TV production companies. We do, a lot of different shows. Sometimes people don't know who Bunim is, but when you mention shows like, Kardashians, Project Runway, The Challenge, Tortobella's, Ball in the Family, and many of the hundreds of shows we produced, people usually go, "Oh, okay, I know that company."
Fantastic. Thank you for that. So when you hear the term digital transformation, obviously a lot of people consider that a buzzword. What does that mean to you when you hear that?
For me, digital transformation is really a process of building technology capabilities to either to maintain or strengthen your business's competitive advantage. To do that, of course, you have to understand what your business's competitive advantage is, and then what you want it to be tomorrow, what you believe it's going to be tomorrow. That's basically how I define it. It's a process. For us, it's been a process of researching technology, business, and consumer trends, and then sharing them with the executive team. A lot of businesses actually don't do a lot of research in those areas. I was fortunate when I was over at Medtronic to be able to participate in a Wharton Leadership Executive Program just on scenario planning. This program taught our future leaders how to look at the good, bad, and the ugly trends and kind of assess them. Are they threats or are they opportunities? And actually build out scenarios, real life scenarios on how we think these could play out and how we would react to those scenarios. I was surprised to learn over there that of the Fortune 500 companies from 1955, only 60 or 12% of them are actually still around today. That was quite a shocker. And so, obviously I don't want our company to be, we're not a Fortune 500 company, but, it goes to show you that what got you here is probably not what's going to get you there tomorrow. The world's even changing faster than it was out in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s because of technology. And so I think the need to do, scenario planning and, researching trends is super important today as a basis just for digital transformation.
So along those lines, how would you say that DX has impacted your business? And, maybe more focused, how does it impact the way that you deliver IT services?
Well, we're watching our entire industry undergo change. Mainly because of technology. Technology such as streaming, improved bandwidth, faster, cheaper mobile devices had really have allowed new entrants into our space. Tech giants as well as communications companies are now distributing our content, but now they're also getting into developing content as well. And so these new companies, they have different capabilities than the traditional media and entertainment companies. And they're able to combine those capabilities with newer capabilities for them in content development, I think are going to really give our industry a run for the money. If you take a look maybe at newspapers, right, around year 2000, a lot of the newspaper companies really thought, well, you know what, we own the reporters, we have the relationships with advertising agencies, how is, Reuters, MSN News, Yahoo News, and stuff like that. They have technology, but I don't think at that time they thought, well, they're not going to be able to break into our industry because they don't have these other things. But as they found out, it was fairly easy for the newspaper industry to change the way distribution worked, be able to hire reporters or be able to take news and relay it and completely redefine an industry. And by the time a lot of the newspaper companies actually woke up and really saw what was happening, it was too late for them to build those technology capabilities. And a lot of them aren't around today. A lot of them, consolidated, and a lot of the tech giants have scooped up those companies. So, Hollywood, I think the media and entertainment industry is in a position like that today. If we don't do anything, then these new entrants are going to come in and, take our lunch away. And so there's a lot of talk in the industry and companies already reacting to the new entrants, including ours. We're also preparing our business for the changes that have already occurring and are going to occur in the future.
So it sounds like your industry definitely is very fluid and obviously is changing and accelerating every day. You mentioned earlier about having key stakeholders, the business, the line of business involved in decision making. So when you put together your digital transformation plan, who all did you bring to the table to talk about that and to set those goals?
And so actually, it's not all me. Our leadership team here understands the changes going on within our industry and is working proactively with the executive team, including myself and our technology team, to prepare for our future. I've been very fortunate to be able to participate in the strategic planning process. And for me, that's meant researching trends, building out scenarios for our management team to look at them, and participating in thinking about what our future is going to be like and what type of capabilities we have to build internally to keep our competitive advantage. I think that's kind of a key concept. It's capability building, and that's a big part where IT can come in and help build the technology capabilities, partnering with the business. When I talk to a lot of my peers, sometimes an issue that they have is a business may not really even understand what its competitive advantages is, what it is today, or what capabilities really make them successful. A lot of businesses may not even have a business strategy. I mean, they may have financial goals or initiatives, and IT, we've always talked about aligning toward the business goals and initiatives. But I think for digital transformation, this is different. This isn't just supporting the business in what they want to do today. This is really understanding from a strategic level what's going on and understanding what kind of capabilities need to be built out in the business.
So would you say, just kind of a sideline question, would you say that the role of the CIO, CTO, and IT as a whole has really changed as it relates to business?
I think so. The way I kind of frame up IT, and like I said, is a little bit newer to IT, having spent most of my career in product development. I chose to organize IT into 4 areas: protecting our business, keeping all the services running, scaling our business or preparing our business for growth, and then helping transform our business or innovate the business or do digital transformation, however you want to explain it. But I know, like, when I came to this business, it's really hard for me to talk about business transformation if I don't already have really strong programs in protecting and running the business, and I'm already participating in initiatives and projects to help our business scale. So it's kind of like you have to have those things down and build credibility in those areas to be able to have those discussions about digital transformation and business transformation.
That makes perfect sense. So once you have your plan together and you start to execute and you're starting to achieve some of your goals, how are you measuring success? What are the indicators that your plan is working?
That's a tough question because with digital transformation, I don't know that it's something that's easily measured like a lot of my other IT activities. It's easy for me to measure and figure out how I'm doing in disaster recovery or, the uptime of my run services and so forth. I think of digital transformation less in terms of specific outcomes and more in terms of a process, an ongoing process that never stops. And things that I kind of think about when I talk to my peers are, does your business have and know its own strategy? Does the business know what capabilities lead to its competitive advantage? Are executives doing scenario planning, researching trends, analyzing threats, looking for opportunities? Do they know what future capabilities that they want to build? And are they actively putting down resources and processes in place to build those capabilities? So, it's those type of processes I'd look at and say, okay, if these types of things are going on in my business and I'm participating in them, then probably we're going to have a lot better outcomes than if we weren't doing them. So, I think of it more as really it's kind of more of a journey, not really a destination. And how would you measure it? I'm not exactly sure because there's so many different variables. One big measurement, of course, is if your business is still around, you're doing something right. Businesses will tend to measure their performance in terms of financial metrics. I would try to say that's important as well too, but it's also really about are you building those capabilities for the future?
Right, absolutely. So you mentioned this digital transformation is not a destination; it is a journey. When you're looking at your plans, how do you build on top of the success that you get? I mean, do you take that holistic approach to your digital strategy, or do you want to pick the low hanging fruit and look for the places where you can be successful first?
Well, one of the things that I try to do is figure out like how can you get maybe two for one types things. Like if you're looking at a capability that you want to build, is it possible that you can maybe marry that with a new venture that helps you possibly build a new business model in a new business, but also helps build existing capabilities within your own company? I think the other thing too is sometimes it's building capabilities within your own company, and sometimes it's looking at do you need to partner with other companies to get those capabilities as well?
So you mentioned earlier the role of IT. You talked about protecting the business being one of your top critical objectives. How do you see that changing as digital technologies become more and more integrated into your solutions?
Well, yeah, I think anything that we're doing is always under that lens of security, and of course, security is getting more sophisticated. Um, Protecting our business is a high priority, and that's also something that never stops. We're constantly looking at threats and assessing them. And for us, really, security has been about picking really good security partners and really good tools, and then on our end, following up with a good process. And it seems like I'm never done in that area. And we've invested in some pretty good technologies over here, and take security seriously. But anytime an organization has a big setback in security, it tends to refocus the entire IT team back on that, because like I was mentioning earlier, the business has to feel secure, right? The services have to be running. Those things have to be put in place for you really to be trusted and to have a seat at the table to do business transformation with the executive team. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. I think as we make information more available and easily accessible, obviously that risk to the protection of that data becomes more critical as well. So, I definitely appreciate these comments, Gabe, and also, I think we want to talk a little bit about just kind of some of this stuff. If you're going on a digital transformation journey, if you're putting together that vision and strategy, I think you want to start with that end in mind, right? You you want to build on a strategy that encompasses all those aspects of transformation. But at the same time, obviously, you don't want to take the boil the ocean approach, right? You talked about this a little bit. You want to look for those things that are going to be the big hit items, low hanging fruit, the things that you can build trust with the business on and be successful on, right? And obviously, incredibly critical is to bring the right key stakeholders to the table, make sure the business is involved in the discussion. Because at the end of the day, when we do transformation, it's all about providing better services and capabilities to the business and to your clients. I think you touched on this one a little bit, but I'd like to get some comment on this one. I mean, how important is that people process aspect of a digital plan?
Well, you did a really good summary and put a lot of things in there. One of the things that I think, I'll draw out that you mentioned, that kind of concept of focus, because as you're going under digital transformation, you start looking at a lot of different opportunities. You'll find out it's not just 1, 2, 3 things. It could be 10 or 20 different things. And then you have to be able to have a process to help you narrow down and focus on the opportunities that are really going to make the biggest difference. And that's tough within an organization because you don't know what the future is, and a lot of people have different ideas of what the future is. And so you basically want to have a process within your organization that can help ferret out ideas quickly and efficiently. For example, I'm a big proponent of a lean startup methodology. I like that concept of building your hypothesis and testing as fast and cheaply as possible, because it is a hypothesis, because you don't know what the future is. If you know what it is and you feel like this is the way to go and you feel really good about it, chances are it's probably not something that's really innovative, because usually if it's something that's really innovative, it has to put you in a space of unknown. And if you're in that space of the unknown, it's really hard to fall back and research the past to feel confident that you're going forward in the right direction. I like methodologies that really help reduce risk through focus and defining what it is you want to learn early in the process.
No, that absolutely makes sense. And along those lines as well, I think it's so critical to remain agile in that approach, because as you touched on, if it's something you're 100% sure how it's going to turn out, it may not be that innovative. I heard somebody say one time that innovation and comfort are not things that live in the same house. And I think that's very true as we advance more and more along the digital lines. I think another thing you called out too that's really important is to make sure that we have security be a part of this journey as well, right? Not as an afterthought. I know that we've seen in the past, a lot of times security is considered to be the organization of no, but it's so critical to have them be part of that discussion up front, so that you can make sure your solution you're putting in place is going to protect the business. What closing remarks would you have? What advice would you have for others out there that are embarking on this world of digital transformation?
I'd say that a lot of my peers can feel like a sense of frustration because they do want to be at the table and they do want to be in transformation, and they're very capable of doing it, but often the business itself isn't actually prepared for those discussions. They may not actually have a strategic plan. They may just only have a financial plan. I would say that that can be frustrating, and that if that's the situation within your business, there's probably nothing preventing you from actually trying to figure out what the business strategy is yourself, and helping share and collaborate with the business. I guess if your business doesn't have a strategic plan, it's something I think that the technology folks can help ask about, participate in, see if they can get outside resources to potentially help. But it's hard if your business hasn't been doing a lot of business strategy work before. It might be because they don't have that capability within their own company as well. And so it's kind of like, how do you pull yourself up from your own bootstraps, right? Because if you don't understand what the strategic plan is, it's really hard then from a technology side, to have a big impact on building those future capabilities if you don't know what they are. Otherwise, you tend to get what happens to some ITs where they really feel they're aligned with the business, but they're really not aligned with business transformation. They're just aligned with what the business goals are. And in many cases, that's all that's expected of IT leaders. But these days, I think with technology changing so fast, that whether that's the expectation at your business or not, you need to play an active role in the business strategy itself.
Some of the points that you drew out, obviously, when digital transformation is a big scope of project. It's so important to not only have a seat at the table and to work with the business and be partnered with the business. Sometimes it's necessary for the IT leader to actually lead that strategy and vision, because it may only be a financial marker that the business is looking at versus the holistic solution that needs to be put in place. I think something else you called out that's really critical and important is, those four things around, what is the role of IT, right? Protecting the business being so important, so critical. Offering the ability to scale and grow the business. The ability to make sure that you operate cleanly, right? That the services and capabilities are available when they should be and how they should be. And then right along the line with everything we've been talking about today is that ability to innovate and to be able to offer transformational solutions that are going to drive the business forward. Gabe, thank you so much for your time today and for your insights. I think it's been a very valuable discussion around digital transformation and how to embrace it and be successful.
So I'd also like to thank Intervision for hosting the podcast and being able to share ideas and digital transformation with the rest of our industry and help us prepare to be better technology leaders.
Thank you for that, Gabe. That's what it's all about, right? It's about sharing ideas and constantly evolving the way that we provide services to our customers. And thank you to all our listeners out there this week. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to the Status Go podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes or get more information at intervision.com. If you'd like to contribute to the conversation, find Intervision on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Thank you for listening. Until next time.